Neurodiversity is an important issue, both for the fire service and for employing organisations everywhere, for a lot of reasons. Mostly, I would say, that you don't want to be limiting your applicant pool on the basis of neurodivergence. You want good people, and a lot of those people will be neurodivergent, and you want to bring them in and you want to take advantage of their talents. That benefits everyone. And obviously, if there are blockers in the way, stopping people from coming in and doing their jobs to the benefit of everybody, particularly in the fire service, that represents a huge opportunity cost for organisations. So it makes perfect sense that organisations will be concerned about this, not just in the fire service, but more generally. As a result, people often query the FRS ability tests and how they impact neurodiversity and how they impact neurodivergent candidates versus neurotypical candidates. Now, what we know from the research is that largely neurodivergent candidates, their average level of cognitive ability is extremely similar, if not the same. It really doesn't impact cognitive ability overall. It's looking at very different things. As a result, differences in score are likely, from what we know, to be the result of specifically processing speed. That seems to be the issue. Dyslexia, ADHD, dyscalculia, they all impact processing speed significantly on particular domains. As a result, with the FRS ability tests, the solution isn't to just not use them, because we know that they're just as predictive for performance for neurodivergent and neurotypical candidates. It doesn't impact their predictive validity. But what we can do is to account for potential differences in processing speed. You have extra time. You give the candidates extra time. 25%, potentially more if they need it. But that is the solution, because that is often the sticking point when it comes to ability testing. It's processing speed. That's important because we've isolated the issue and we can correct for it very effectively. Compare that to something like an interview, for example, which is often marred by unconscious bias, implicit bias, indirect biases of all kinds. It's so pervasive, it's almost impossible to fix because it's impacting a whole syndrome of issues. Whereas in the ability space, we have it down to a very specific issue, largely processing speed. And so if you give extra time, and indeed, as our platform does, allows for various accessibility softwares, browser extensions, and so on to help with the experience, make text bigger, change the background, change the contrast, and so on. You're doing everything that you can to ensure that you get value from the assessments and the candidate fairly assessed without the need to just stop using them, because no one benefits if you don't use them. You miss out on hiring people who can solve problems and make decisions and learn. These are all essential predictions as a result of cognitive ability. Just because someone is neurodivergent doesn't mean you don't want them to do those things. You just don't want to unfairly test them, okay? And to do that, you give extra time, you make sure the platform is fully accessible and compatible, ensuring that everyone can perform to their best.